Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Thom Raley. The scenario is called Northside. It's a scenario on the fly, which means that David Gassaway came up with the premise for the story a few hours ago. So, without any further delay, let's begin our journey into the darkness. David?
Thank you, Thom. It's Friday night, June 15th, 1923, in the New England metropolis of Arkham, Massachusetts. Our protagonists are on the North Side tonight, on Gedney Street between Hyde and Kerwin, in a second-floor establishment above a haberdashery, which is known to aficionados as the Gold Card Room. The password tonight was anticlimax. It changes on a schedule that only insiders know. But you need it to get through the unmarked door upstairs from the side entrance, because on the other side of that metal door with a slit in it is a fellow named Clancy. No one knows whether Clancy is his first or last name. Clancy doesn't really answer questions. He's a gorilla in a suit. All of you have been here before. One of you is a regular. Why don't you introduce yourself, Fergus?
My name is Fergus O'Leary, and I am a piano player. I play here on Fridays, every other Friday, sometimes with a band, mostly by myself, just to entertain the crowd. And that's all I'm willing to tell you.
Fair enough. Also, not new to the establishment is Lemaire. What can you say about your evening so far?
Cleo Lemaire, mostly an artist, but just by the grace of my parents' prodigious funds. So, actually getting work here and there, blowing through a lot of money for the most part. Here for a good time. Just relaxing.
Mostly paint or sculpture?
Some paint, some sculpture. Paint and sculpture both.
Are you studying still, or are you living independently and taking commissions?
Yes, living independently, taking commissions when the mood strikes me.
Very good. Mr. Hayes, what have you to say for yourself?
Oh, yes, my name is Rutherford Buford Hayes, and I am a professional gambler, and it is my favorite game is poker, of course, and I am here to ply my trade.
Are you on a circuit, or are you based currently around Arkham, or do you play a city and then move on and like that?
I play a city until it becomes unfriendly.
Very good. Mr. Lafferty, how's your luck so far? You're muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Simon's luck is not great, but it is his first time, so always open to change things. Simon is a detective and doesn't mind playing a little cards in the off time, getting a little piano, a little R&R.
It's a friendly house. And Mr. Frost, what brings you this evening?
Wallace Frost walks with a limp. He's been shot in the leg a long, long time ago. And he's a newspaper editor. He's sort of a thin, lanky, baby-faced man. And he's not much of a gambler. He's not actually even very acquainted with illegal areas of town, but he's just here on a lark. He doesn't fear for his life too much, and he likes doing some dangerous things from time to time.
Very good. The Gold Card Room is operated by a fellow who's known as Happy Jack Brady. And it's distinctive in town. You know, there are speakeasies here and there. Fewer in Puritan Massachusetts, on average, perhaps, than in decadent New York or nearly southern Maryland, but they're around. But not every place that sells bootleg liquor also allows gambling. And the Gold Card Room, notably, is a gambling establishment. There are only 3 liquors available, gin, brandy, and whiskey. They are reliably better and substantially more expensive than the rot gut you can get at some basement speakeasies. And perhaps because he can make some money on the booze, Jack Brady seems to run an honest house. And he's generally visible on the premises. He's a natty, short, ruddy gentleman. He keeps an easy chair and a table with a pipe rack next to the cage where the cashier operates. The cashier's cage is hemicircular, built against a brick wall with a door in it. Once in a while, a fellow with a green visor will come out, take a tray back, bring a tray in to the cashier, who's reliably an attractive young woman. The rest of the establishment has a lot of heavy, dark curtains over whatever windows there might be, and over the brick wall. Between the heavy curtains, there's occasionally an oil painting, because it's a class joint. There are a couple of faro tables, there are a couple of poker tables, there's a couple of blackjack tables, and there's 1 roulette wheel. Because those things are a pain in the ass to maintain, Happy Jack will explain. I would like each of you to tell me what kind of stakes you're playing tonight. Is it a low night, a midnight, a high night? Of course, you don't have to worry about that, Fergus, although you might play side bets during breaks.
Yeah, I occasionally gamble a little when I'm not playing.
So maybe it's, we'll say it's 1, 2, or a range of 1, 2, or 3, whether it's a low stakes, a medium, or a high stakes night for you.
Yeah.
Wallace Frost knows he doesn't have that much money to work with, so he just looks for minimum stakes.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of agree with that too.
Go high stakes.
Simon J. Lafferty might have a reason to play a little higher stakes, so we'll say he's at a 2.
Sounds good. Mr. Hayes?
Oh, yes, I will play at high stakes, as I usually do.
Very good. We didn't, I know that some people's who had pre-generated characters have a luck. If you'd like to roll for luck instead of riding that, feel free. And those of you who didn't already roll for luck, let's do that now. 3d6 times 5, ignore anything under 50. Re-roll anything under 50.
You want to know our luck?
You could just tell me whether you pass or not in each case.
Oh, we want to roll a luck roll.
Yeah. Well, if you didn't already set your luck.
I did.
Okay. Oh yeah, well, actually, I'm curious. What did you get?
55.
55 as well.
75 for my luck roll.
Wow. Lucky newspaper editor.
Yeah. My pre-gen came with 64. I'm okay with that.
Wisely.
Yeah, I'm at 55.
You exclude anything under 50, you get a lot of 55s. Yes?
Keep my eyes on Mr. Frost. That ain't natural.
Or you can mention to Clancy that he seems lucky.
Uh-huh.
Oh, the other staff, they're really, I mean, the only visible bouncer is Clancy. And I assume that nobody attempted to bring a firearm tonight.
No.
No comment.
Well, it's true. If anybody could try to pull it off, it would be an employee. So there's Clancy. There's the cashiers. There's a few of them. You might strike up a conversation at some point with any of them. And the dealers and croupiers, they are a quiet crowd. Rumor has it that Brady brings them in from Cuba or someplace, but they all speak perfectly good English, but they're not very personable. They're very businesslike. They're quiet, very neatly dressed. Nothing ostentatious about any of them. Again, it's part of his good reputation. But even Fergus, who sees some of these faces over and over again, probably doesn't know anybody's name. What we know that Mr. Hayes is a poker player mostly. Anybody else have a preference?
I think I like to favor the poker.
I like poker.
I'll
You
do
said there was a
blackjack.
roulette. You said there was roulette?
There is roulette.
I'll be at roulette.
So 3 poker players and 2 roulettists, or I'm sorry, a roulettist and a blackjacker. Why don't you all roll a spot hidden for me?
Oh, 3. Extreme.
Regular success.
Regular success.
I failed.
Hey, I got a 99.
You are very excited about that pair, let's just say. You're very focused on that pair and on the hands on the green bez of the table before you. You're not looking around. The 2 regular successes will say, you've noticed, this is not a huge establishment. He likes to keep a regular, reasonable clientele. He doesn't want to let a buzz or to hire 20 bouncers or to deal with drunks. He wants some people who are fairly eye rollers and are here to play. But there's a little bit of a buzz tonight. There's a little bit of something, you just hear like a cluster of sort of snickering whispers and a group of people walking here or there. And it's a little, the place is broken up into 5 or 6 partly separated rooms. I mean, it's all one open plan thing, but there are sort of areas that you can all see the center from. But yeah, there's some sort of buzz going on. And it strikes Fergus that, look, he doesn't know everybody in this place. He hasn't seen everybody a dozen times. Some faces look familiar. You would see, if you saw Claire at a department store, you'd know that, she spent some time here.
Sure.
And there might have even been, you might have noticed words, between Brady and the cashier when Hayes showed up, because he's got a reputation. He's not unknown. But there's somebody here tonight that you've definitely never seen before. It's a smallish man in a slightly garish, like mustard-colored suit, very nicely fitting, but sort of brassy.
Stands out
And
like a sore thumb.
he sticks out, and he's betting substantially, and he's doing well. Like well enough that a couple of times a dealer has come and whispered to Brady and then gone back to things. So there's a little bit of something going on about this fellow. Really pencily mustache. Looks his sad eyes. He would be played by Peter Lorre if he were in a film. The 3 poker players we're going to put at a table together now. Rutherford, you won with that pair of jacks.
Yeah, all I had was a gay waiter, a tray, and a queen.
So I would like you each to roll luck against each other.
68 fail.
I got a 43. That's a pass.
66 fail.
All right. So mild-mannered Simon has just taken a moderate pot from Fergus and a decent pot from what Rutherford just made on those jacks. He just paid over to Simon, just slightly galling. And Wallace, would you give me a luck roll for your blackjack doings right now?
11 under 75.
Wow. All right. So you've just tripled your low stake. Very nice. You had to split that hand a few times to get away with that. And the roulette wheel, how was Cleo doing?
Oh, just barely 51 under 55.
All right. So you just, you snatched a little victory from the jaws of defeat there. You'd split that bed widely enough that you came away with, 120% of what you'd put down. Given the situation as described, is there anything anybody's particularly interested in doing at the moment, now that we've done a round of betting?
So
I'm
you said,
go ahead. Sorry.
so you said that when the initial spot hidden rolls were made, that we got a feeling that something was strange. Is there any way that I could investigate that feeling? Like, if I can hear any group of people whispering, is there a way I can make a listen roll or something?
Well, absolutely. In fact, having just successfully completed a bet, you could step away from the table and sort of, look around the room and see where this buzz is happening. And because it's not garishly lit or anything, but there aren't sectioned off areas or closed doors in the public space, so it won't take you long to see that at one of the faro tables is this fellow in the mustard colored suit, and he's do you know how faro works at all?
No.
It's kind of a midpoint between a card game and roulette. There's a built-in table that has the cards of a suit on it, and players bet as cards are dealt from a shoe on what the next card's going to be. So you can put coins on multiple places, and it turns over pretty quickly. And this guy is betting kind of wild spreads, and he's doing well. He's putting $20 on just the 4 of diamonds, or just the 4 spot, and getting the 4. And so it's just, so there's this, people are neglecting their own games to sort of look at this guy, and some people are sneaking bets in on top of his bets to try to cash in on his good fortune or whatever's going on.
Does he ever lose? Like once in 4 or something?
He doesn't always win, but he never loses a large bet. So he'll do a 20 and a 20 and a 20, and then he'll put a 5 spot down and it'll lose. And after, another set of hands, the dealer is switched out. And, you can see there's a conversation. And in fact, Brady himself, around the time that you've got a sense of his tendency, Brady's lit a fresh pipe and come over to watch things himself. And the fellow puts down a moderate bet of 15 on 7 and cashes in right away. And Brady says, welcome to the gold card room, friend. I don't know that we've seen you betting here before.
Oh no, I'm a very low stakes bettor. I got $10 that I brought with me, and I tripled it to 30. So I think I'll be happy with that. I'd just like to watch a few games. It's fun.
Yes, well, welcome. It's good to have you. Good to have a local. stopping in once in a while. And this is the gold card room. You can come in with 10 and leave with 30. Don't forget to tip the bartender.
I'll make sure to.
And he claps you, heartily on your back, and then he introduces himself.
I have a bad leg, so immediately I stumble forward.
Oh yeah.
No worries. Well, you were about to introduce yourself?
I'm Mr. Brady's about to introduce himself to the fellow in the mustard suit.
Oh, got it.
And I believe you are an out-of-towner, my good man. Hi, Happy Jack Brady. Pleased to make your acquaintance. And the fellow says, "Oh, the name is Simons, Mr. Brady. Lovely establishment." And Brady says, we must have some friends in common if you found yourself to the gold card room." And the fellow in the mustard suit says, "Oh, I have friends all over." And Brady's like, "Yeah, well, just keep things friendly, that's all." And he sort of gives the dealer a nod and stalks back to his leather chair. And then there's a little bell that rings, and he says, Brady stands up again and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, it's just turned midnight. Welcome to Saturday. There's a drink special at the bar. Please take advantage of it. We're gonna shuffle everything up, finish out whatever hand you're playing, and we'll restart the bets in 10 minutes." And there's clearly a bit of conversation going on around the cashier's cage and so on.
Well, then
Tina.
I'll go to the bar and order a gin and tonic.
I'm going to call for the cigarette girl. Tina. Here. Hey, honey. Who's the Mr. Big over there in yellow?
I don't know, Fergus, but he's really making a killing. We've had to do 2 crash drawers just for his winnings so far.
Why don't you go make nice with him and see if you can figure out who he is? Get a name.
Yeah, I'll give it a try too. But if Brady can't move a guy, I don't know what I can do.
You're a lot prettier than Brady is.
Oh, Fergus. And she'll toddle off.
Yeah.
And this Simons fellow is sort of he lights a little green cigar, and he's counting chips and looking around the place. He doesn't give you a warm feeling, but it's not like, he's just some guy,
Yeah, but a total stranger in here who seems to have really good luck. That seems like a red flag, if you ask me.
Yeah, it certainly did to Happy Jack. So a couple of drinks were ordered. There's again, the staff's been moving around a little bit. Tina approaches Mr. Mustard Suit, and he in fact buys a pack of Luckies from her and seems to tip her excessively. And he goes to puff away in a chair against the wall when you hear a little it sounds like a fire alarm, but not a loud one or one that's muffled. And then light bulbs behind cages that you hadn't seen before that are red flash twice and go off, and flash twice and go off. And Brady slams his hand down on the table next to his chair. He's like, I'm up. All my payments are in. What the hell is this? Ladies, gentlemen, sorry for the interruption. Glad it happened during the break. Take anything personal if you want to grab it. It's going to be a short inconvenience, I assure you. And the the dealers and croupier stuff, they like bend over, and of course they're black cloths that they just sort of drape over the tables deftly and tuck into things. And the bar girl likewise has a and a couple of doors open up in the brick wall. Curtains are slid aside and there are doors that are opened up. And he says, 5 minutes tops, please, just, for your own reputation, for your own comfort, to avoid any inconvenience. If you'll just step into one of the side rooms, we'll have refreshments and we'll take care of whatever this nonsense is with the officials and get you back to your games.
Right. So up and out. I'm going to make my way over closer to Mr. Yellow.
Very good. There's only 2 of these little escape hatches.
Right.
And so, Mr. Yellow, this thin couple, and the 5 of you all are shifted into one of these side rooms, and one of the sort of blank-faced dealers nods to you and says, shh, shh, and closes the door behind you, and you find yourself in a pretty simple sort of antechamber. There are no windows. It's older brick, or hasn't been treated as recently as the brick in the main room. It gives you the feeling of being like in the stairwell of a warehouse, except there aren't any stairs. There's just the door you came in and 3 walls. There's a couple of wooden chairs. There's some dust on the floor. There's some stubbed out cigarettes. Maybe some wheat pasted to a wall that was peeled off a decade ago. And it's quiet. It's maybe soundproofed.
Don't you folks worry, this will be over in a few minutes.
I'll walk up to Mr. Yellow and extend my hand and say, "I looked like you were doing pretty well. I was doing pretty well myself, if you can, in a low stakes version of that. What's your name?"
I'm Simons.
Simons.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Does this happen here a lot? Is this not? I thought this had a reputation as a very safe place. This had a reputation I thought was going to be all right.
I wouldn't even know. I don't come here that often.
Is the money on the table safe? Should I be worried about this? This isn't some racket, is it?
No, I don't think so. The reputation precedes it. I've heard about this place quite a lot, even if I've not been here in person.
He seems pretty cool outside making money. He seems uncomfortable in here, and he's tears open the cigarettes he just bought and lights one up. Sure.
It's the day and age we live in, so once this stupid prohibition shit is done, and we can have our lives back.
Oh, you're the tinkler. I saw you. Brady's up to his payments, right? He hasn't left any pawns out or the coppers, right?
I don't really know much about his business, but as far as I know, and that's his responsibility. He seems like a responsible man.
Is. Yeah. Is he a sole proprietor,
I'm more concerned that you got maybe you got the cops showing up, other than the ones that are already here. I'm sorry, what'd you ask me? He's a sole.
If he's a sole proprietor, if he's the only, he's running this business. It's a pretty good business if you're running it all by himself.
He talks about a partner every once in a while, but I ain't never seen one. I've never heard a name or anything like that. Silent partner.
A hell of a goon he's got out there. A guy who looks like he'd crush your skull like a peanut.
Clancy, yeah. Clancy's cool. Clancy don't say much. Quiet. It's the quiet types that you got to worry about, because they'll come up behind you and, like you say, crush your skull, and you never even know it was coming. But once in a while, we get a bar fight, and Nobody's going to fuck with Clancy. Pardon my English.
With a
Sure.
bombshell like that in the cage, of course, you're gonna have some problems.
Well, the money is what the cage is for, but also the girls, I guess. Yeah.
So a couple of you I recognize, but not all of you. Mr. Hayes, was it? Don't you have kind of reputation around town?
Yes, I do. I have a reputation as being professional in this business.
Yeah, you look like a player. Yeah. Slow and steady type, right? On the poker table, reading people's eyes, that sort of thing, right?
Oh yes, I have. I play the long game. You know.
Yeah, I have my hot nights and my cool streaks, and when I have a hot night, I play, you know?
Yes, I have to say, I believe tonight is a cool night for me. I am hoping that all of this gets resolved soon so that I can earn some of my lost money back.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a peek out and see if anything's going on.
Well, there's no handle on the inside of this door, and it doesn't push open.
There's not like a secret latch.
There is not, and in fact, you know, again, it's pretty quiet. It's like this is a thick door. Usually you can just pop it open because, you know, you're only in there to protect you from the outside, you know,
Right.
not the other way around. But it's not budging. Maybe.
Good thing I'm not.
Yeah.
Put my ear up against it and take a listen. See if I can hear any conversations or anything going on out there.
Give a listen roll, but take a penalty die too.
Well, I got a 94 on the first roll. So.
Right.
There's gum in my ear.
What's wrong with the door, Mr. O'Leary? Something
I
wrong?
don't know. It's stuck. Put your ear up against the door and see if you can hear anything. I don't want to open it up and have a bunch of cops out there.
You said you got gum in your ear, though.
I was joking. I couldn't hear a damn thing. I think it's probably earwax.
Can I give a listen roll or no?
Yes,
Roll
also
the dice,
penalty.
of course.
Mhm.
Oh, it's an 07 on the first one. A 97 on the second one.
Penalty die comes through again.
One short of mine.
I don't hear
You
anything.
got gum in your ear too. There's all this gum on the door.
This is
I think I'm not more
disgusting. You don't clean
claustrophobic.
this? Ew.
Looks like we have no way out of here.
Is there another door? Is there a way out of the building?
This is not exactly up to fire code, being an illegal gambling establishment. It's kind of surprising. I mean, again, it looks like it should be, you know, this is a storage space in a commercial building in a city. This should be you know, that the small room antechamber to a stairwell. But I guess you could try to spot hidden.
I
How,
assume it's dark. I
creepy-
got a 70.
How
Yeah, I mean,
cramped are we
there's-
here?
Sorry?
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
There's one, you're right, it's dim. There's one bulb in the ceiling. And the ceilings are fairly high, you know, 12, 13 feet.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Is this like a room or is it like a cubby space?
It's let's say it's, you know, 8 feet by 4 or a little bit, 8 feet by 6.
Uh-huh.
It's, again, you wouldn't be surprised, like it's big enough that when this was functioning as a commercial space,
Uh-huh.
you could like bring a cart up the stairs and through a door, you know, with some beer barrels on it, and you would be able to turn around comfortably and that sort of thing. It's not a closet, but it's not a room that's meant to spend time in. The fact that there are chairs here is just because occasionally there's a raid. I think since you've been working here, it's only happened twice. And usually, you know, whoever the staff sergeant is takes an extra envelope and is gone in a few minutes.
And then they let us out.
Yeah.
Okay. No
wanna-
windows. It says just solid walls.
I want to
Yeah.
ask Mr. Simons. I'm interested at this point. I say, so Mr. Simons, if you don't mind my asking, it's your first time in the bar, correct?
It's I haven't been here for a long time. I've been at Gold Card Room before, but I don't think this year. I travel. I don't travel the same route that Mr. Hayes travels, but I move from place to place.
You didn't have anybody looking for you, might have followed you here that might have alerted somebody, possibly.
I'm not aware that anybody is following me particularly. I don't. I
We
think
just-
that's a strange question, honestly. I mean,
Well,
you
a
didn't
high
ask
roller
this-
like yourself, winning, hand after hand, round after round, it just begs a question. Now we're all sitting in the wings of a theater play production, stuck behind a metal door with no handle.
But somebody could be following Mr. Hayes. He could have an angry debtor, or the painter girl could have a bitter romantic disappointment, or the tinkler. He could have he could owe money or have a bitter wife with a rolling pin. I don't know why you singled me out.
GM,
I'm not.
Do I know what the red flashing lights usually signify?
It was a completely normal raid signal,
Okay.
but it's very infrequent.
Um,
But they have
so-
the bells in a recess so that it doesn't sound on the street
Right.
or terrify people.
So look, we saw the lights. It meant that normally means like a raid or
Just
something
before
like
you
that.
finish that sentence is when the muffled sound of gunfire echoes through this small room.
Oh, fuck.
And it's substantial. It's hard to count given
Everybody
the
get down.
muffled. Nothing's coming through anything. The sound is going.
Yeah.
And it continues for 5 seconds, and then 10 seconds, and then there's a little break, and then there's a couple of bursts, and then it's very quiet.
All right, everybody, we got to be quiet, stay down. I'm gonna wait 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna try to bust this door open.
I'm going to reach into my jacket and palm my badge, just in case I need to get it out in a hurry.
I can't think of any reason why anybody would want to attack this place.
Do you think that Jack has upset some of the local mobsters?
Half his clientele are mobsters.
Yeah.
I don't
Shouldn't
think
we-
so.
Shouldn't we stay here for as long as we? I mean, for quite a long time. Well, it's
Till we
It's
haven't
just
heard
sitting
nothing
here.
for 10 minutes at least, yeah.
So much gunfire. How many people were there?
I don't know. You gotta wait until it's all done. Everybody's left who has got shot and shooting.
Did any of you see action in the Great War by any chance?
No.
Bunch of civilians. Mr. Simons is lighting, he's properly chaining. He's lighting one cigarette from the butt of the last. And it's getting close in here. Like the smoke is starting to work its way down from the high ceilings. And it's just silent out there. You'd think you'd hear, even through the brick, you'd hear sirens after all that gunfire.
Simons. How about you stop that? How about you're going to choke us to death?
How about you figure out how to open up that locked door?
Why would we go out now?
That's the
Look, like I said, you gotta wait. Do we hear anything more going on?
You don't hear sirens. You don't hear more gunfire. You don't hear footsteps approaching the door to open it from the outside.
All right, 10 minutes.
You don't hear the church bells ringing. You don't hear nothing.
10 minutes, I'm gonna put my shoulder against the door, and I'm going to try to force it open without crashing into it.
Do you need help?
Sure. Yeah, two people will give more force. You just watch out. It could come loose, and we could go flying out and land on our faces. So
Especially with my leg.
So be prepared for that. That's what we're going to try and push it open.
Before you, as you're figuring it out and looking for the hinge and remembering which way it closed and just looking at it in general, you could give me an idea roll. How best to proceed.
Just Fergus.
47 out of 55.
You're both working on it.
I 8 under 70.
Okay. So yeah, Fergus is like, I think it closed this way, and Wallace is like, you recall that when it closed, you had a brief thought of the safe at the newspaper because of how thick the door was, and that it has that internal bolting mechanism so that no human force is going to be able to budge it. It's not
a fucking safe.
Fergus, I don't think we're moving this.
This isn't a room, it's a fucking safe.
We gotta get out of here.
Who knows we're in here?
Pound on the door. See if someone will open it.
I'll pound on the door.
Fergus, nobody knows we're in here.
I mean, only the people who ushered you in.
I might be dead.
It might be a waste of time, but could I do like a search around the other walls to see if there might be like a way to kind of push through the brick or anything like that?
Please do.
I am not rolling very well, and I did not pass.
What's the floors made of?
The floor is poured concrete over, presumably heavy timber. It's, again, industrial. Anybody who's watching Rutherford check the walls can roll a spot hidden.
Yeah, I'm assuming we'd all join in.
Yeah. That is a hard pass.
Failed.
The thin couple that came in with you and Mr. Simons have been mostly muttering and bickering quietly in a corner. And when you guys are talking about the door being closed, they start to palpably blanch, but they're not any help. Those of you who passed noticed that there's one benefit to Simons and his smoking. To the right, the wall to the right of the barred door, the brick is mostly the same color, but not quite the same color. And there's unmistakably air coming through some bricks that's causing little rivulets in the smoke that's been building up. So presumably this is the direction that maybe the stairwell used to be.
How so you're basically saying that some of the mortar is no longer intact.
Yeah,
it's
definitely
coming through.
It's a less solid wall than the others appear to be.
I'm gonna look around, see if I can find anything in the room that might be used to pry or pound.
I mean, there's a couple of wooden chairs. It'd be nice if there were one of those brass standing ashtrays, but they didn't put any nice furniture in here.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, empty your pockets. Do we have any tools that are like bludgeoning?
Well, I got my brass knuckles.
I turn out my knife.
to have a lighter. Smoking. Or matches, rather. Yeah.
All right, let's say, without belaboring it, that you get a little coordinated, lighter held up by the wall to help see, possibly Simon's like gently puffing smoke so that the air currents are visible. Lafferty starts fitting. He's got a pretty substantial knife for a civilian to just be carrying in his pocket. And he starts prying and chipping, and pretty soon you're getting some meaningful, little chunks of plaster coming out, and some of it's crumbling.
If we can work out one brick, then we can use leverage to get the others out.
Yeah, I think we almost got one.
Yeah. 6 minutes in, one brick is wobbling. And Fergus takes without breaking the chair, one of the chair legs, and gives it a good pop, and it turns, 3/4 of the way out. And there's cool, smokeless air, although it's dark on the other side. And the thin, pale couple start like yelling at you to move faster. And Simon's is like happy to be able to smoke without being yelled at anymore. And with a little bit of elbow grease and no obvious mistakes, you can work an opening that you can crawl through in another 10, 12 minutes. Because once again, you say you've got some leverage, you can pop out 5 bricks at a time. And, the bigger the hole, the easier it is to work. And you scratch your knuckles and, that sort of thing.
Once we get a hole big enough for a head, can we see what's on the other side?
Well, I mean, we'll put a lighter through,
Sure.
and you'll see it's just an unlit stairwell going down. Like it's the more concrete floor, more brick walls, and just.
So we should be able to get out of the building this way.
Fergus, can you identify what is this part of the building? What is it?
I would guess this is still something inside the building. It's not the next door.
Does this seem familiar?
No, not really. I mean, I just come in by the front door and go out the back door. Does it seem to me like there's no stairwell here? That it might have been sealed up sometime a long time ago, and this is an old abandoned stairwell?
I mean, it's certainly disused. I think the reasonable supposition is when this floor was designed to be a speakeasy casino, they took a chunk that they put the office and the bankroll in that's like internal and safe, and they just blocked some things and made some adjustments so that there's no way inside that they're not in control of.
So I don't know for sure.
It would just be useful to know if we're walking back into, I don't know, gunfire or something.
Well, I haven't heard a noise. So I imagine the place, whoever did the shoot up, if it was the mob, then they ran out. There might be bodies everywhere, but there's not going to be any bodies in here because I'm not sure there's access from
and it doesn't smell like anything in there except dust. It's just cooler and dustier.
But there might be a way out. Might lead to a back door of the building.
Yeah, we're not getting anywhere just talking, that's for sure. Give me a hand with these bricks.
Working at it.
Right. So presumably you want to make a big enough hole so that the 2 ladies present can pass through in a dignified manner. How many people have lighters on them, or are you mostly using matches?
I have matches.
Matches.
Lighter.
All right. So you're going to have to coordinate a little bit because as you make the hole bigger, more of the overhead's coming down, but it's not getting very far. You're seeing dust motes and dark stairs.
Are we on the level of stairs, or are the stairs 3 feet below us and above us?
The floor you were on had a later brick wall attached, and then it's only a couple feet to the stairs start, and they were from the same. They were constructed at the same time, presumably.
Okay.
And you don't hear the squeaking of rats or.
So as soon as I can squeeze through, I'll squeeze through. I'm kind of big, but if I can get through, then anybody can get through.
And it's
I'm
so
thin,
quiet. I assume a couple of you were wearing watches. When
Yeah.
you finally gotten through and you're like assessing things, you think it's been, well, I guess you knew it was about a quarter after midnight that the raid was announced, and it's about a quarter after 1. So you waited patiently, and then the gunshots happened, and then you waited less patiently, and then you figured some stuff out. And so, again, surprisingly, there haven't been sirens or somebody didn't let you out. One way or another, you'd think that, but everything's just tomb-like.
Yeah. So can I get through?
Yeah, pull yourself through.
Okay, as soon as I get through, I'm going to walk downstairs. Being careful. I've got my lighter for light. It's not much light, though.
No, in fact, it's kind of, you want to hold it so it doesn't blind you.
Right.
So who's following
I think
Fergus?
I'd like this to follow him, and I'll have Brandish the knife going down the stairs as well.
Simons and the couple are notably hanging back. They're not being brave. They're kind of going to wait and see, it looks like.
Yeah. We'll tell you when it's safe.
Rutherford, Wallace, are you going to watch from above, or are you going to stay in the smoky room?
I
Cleo?
think I will lag behind. For some reason, Simon is seeming sort of dangerous to me. So I'm just going to try to lag behind and let everyone else go on ahead. I'll stay with the couple.
I'm feeling a little claustrophobic with all the smoke and the small space, so I'm actually going to push forward and go ahead.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy to get out of this room.
Okay, so we've got sort of, a chain of people. Fergus, as you head down the stairs, they're very dusty. The railing is a little wobbly, but it's not, the stairs are also like industrial. They're not
They're
creaky
metal.
old wood. There's metal and plaster probably, or metal and like a thin layer of concrete over wood or something. Something for heavy movement.
Right.
And there's no sign of a flight going up, and there's no skylight in this well. And they go down to a landing, that's like the one you came from, more or less, that has only one door leading off of it, and that's a unmarked wooden door.
Okay. This is like, what, another 15 or 16 feet below where we were?
Yeah.
Okay. I will try the door.
The handle rattles and creaks and opens up. And there is, in fact, some yellowish light that spills out.
Fergus, what's going on?
I don't know. I think we found a way out. This must be another part of the building.
Are you pushing it open or sticking your head in, or?
I'll push it open and take a look around.
It's a room a little bit bigger than the smoky room above you, although it's not below it. It's on the other side of the stairwell. And there's a small wooden desk with a desk lamp, and there's a very wizened-looking woman sitting behind the desk. She's got a proper Underwood typewriter, and she sort of looks up and rubs her nose at the dust and sort of waves you in and looks back down to whatever she's, some
I grab
notepad or
Fergus's
something.
arm and look at him to see his response to this.
I look at Simon like, oh, what am I, your girlfriend now?
All right, easy.
I step inside and I go, pardon me, miss.
Yeah. Come in. You're expected.
We're expected.
And the 8 of you, I believe. Come on, he's waiting.
Who's waiting, ma'am?
He'll see you when you're all here. Get the others down. It's been very slow.
I think you might have us mistaken for somebody else. We were trapped in the little room upstairs, and
We're well aware of the situation upstairs, sir. Can you get the
Are you with the police?
not at all, sir, not at all. I mean, not as such. The Willis couple, they're with you as well?
Yeah, they're just up the stairs.
Yes.
The hell?
They're just, if you could get everyone downstairs, he'd rather see you all at once. Thank you.
Maybe it's a happy Jack, Fergus. Maybe this is just where they go when things go south. Maybe we
Maybe.
just get everyone back down here.
just get in a room, lock the door, break through a wall, go down the stairs.
Well, maybe
There
we
you
went
are.
the other way.
Go tell the others that the coast is clear.
It's clear
It's
as
not
it's
very
getting.
clear.
I make my way up the stairs. Who all is still up there? The couple, is Wallace still up there?
Oh, I thought I was. I may have misunderstood where I was. I thought we were all in a line.
Yeah, you were in a bit of a chain.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're up the stairs a ways.
Okay.
But you can, as you're on various parts of the stairs, you can see hear the door creak open and see yellow light, regular old bulb.
Was there an exit that way?
Maybe the best chance we got. There's a lady in here that says we're expected, even knows the name of the couple.
I wasn't aware there were other businesses in this building. Are there other businesses in this building?
It's a big building.
Is it like she's in an office? It's not her home?
Yeah, it's pretty strange. Maybe you just come check it out for yourself and see what you think.
But it's safe?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Okay. I mean, if you and Mr. O'Leary are there, I suppose it's safe enough.
We try and usher the couple down there as well.
Yeah, and they're like, well, I mean, if it's a way out, if it's, don't want to be here any longer, they're, and they'll sort of look at each other and huddle, but then they'll follow. They're not going to stay.
Yeah, we'll do what we can.
And Mustard Simons again seems less concerned. He was very anxious about being locked in the room, but he's like, all right, we can go where we have to go. I don't mind that much where we have to go. And the older woman has produced a laced pink handkerchief, which she's sort of rubbing her nose, covering it with, because the dust obviously bothers her. In fact, her little office isn't dusty, even though it was just on the other side of this unmarked door. Says, all right, if we're all accounted for, and she, there's a giant clunky thing on her desk, and she presses a button, and you hear a very primitive grind. They're here, sir. And you hear a little click, and there was not obviously a door behind her. It looked like a small unmarked room, but the wall kind of slides open, and she says, he's expecting you. Go on in. He's expecting you.
Who is he?
I'm the inspector, I guess you could say, the inspector. Just go on in.
Simon's
right.
going to go ahead and walk in.
This time I'm grabbing Simon's arm.
Well, I'm Simon, but yeah, right.
Oh.
We're doing it backwards, right? Yeah.
There's a little bit of a hallway that just goes straight ahead that, has contemporary wallpaper on it and little wooden runnels, and you can see a brighter light beyond it. It opens to the left.
It's getting nicer at least, Fergus.
Yeah.
And just as you turn, it's a larger room, and there's a coat rack with a hat and a coat on it. And there's a substantial room. Looks a little bit like a lawyer's office, maybe. Some kind of professional office, except there's no windows. There's a couple of chairs and a couch. A couple of stuffed chairs and a couch, a couple of wooden chairs as well scattered around. There's a rug, no bookcase, there are no windows. There's a big desk, a substantial wooden desk, and a substantial stuffed chair behind it. And in that substantial stuffed chair is an emaciated man. He's not hunched or shriveled. He's just bony, waxy, and his skin is parchment-like, and his head is spotted. There's a few lank strands of black hair pasted from one side to the other, and there's a chunky telephone on his desk, and there's he's got a desk lamp, and there are a couple of lamps in the corners. And he says, "Oh, and
we're confused. Where are we?"
of course, you're confusing. Bring everyone. I have work to do. We're on schedule."
I don't think we have a choice.
Yes, not.
Lafferty steps in.
Have a take a seat. Take a seat. Take a seat anywhere. I can have or bring tea if it's desired.
We're
Dusty.
just trying to find our way out of the building.
You are no longer on Ketney Street, friends.
I'm sorry?
Simon, does it sound like his voice is turning off and on like a recording?
Lots of guys come back from the war with a tick. Maybe it's a...
Yeah, but he's literally got a tick.
What do you mean we're not? How can we not be on the street?
Mr. Willis, stop hiding. Come on,
yes?
come on in. Not you, Mr. Frost. You're fine. The Willises, I knew they were. When you net tuna, you also catch other things. The Willises are not
The Willises are what? The other things?
not important.
Well, what are you going to do with them?
What are you gonna do with us?
I think it's about time you explain this all to us.
Everyone comfortable? Have a seat.
I think I'll stand, thank you.
Standing, thank you. Yeah.
No smoking, please, in here. Simon. Thank
How
you
is
for coming.
Simon taking this in?
Yeah.
No longer relaxed.
Okay.
He's in fact, probably when the thin man said that, he was having a
About to
difficulty with his sweaty thumb lighting. My employer required the assistance of individuals who enjoy games of chance.
Well, I imagine a casino was the right place to start, but where are we now?
I think you would call it an experimental facility. Lack of a better...
Like a hospital?
Like a lab or a hospital?
It's a place for experimental study.
But there's not a hospital next to the building.
What is next to what is clearer to some than to others.
Hey Fergus, I think this guy's out of his mind. Should we just go to the staircase the other way? It went 2 directions, right? Did the staircase go up?
No,
It's
no.
Oh,
It was
this
one
was the only
stairwell
way?
down, and then yeah.
Are there any doors to this room other than the one we went through?
There's a door behind, to the side, to the desk, and behind. You have to go around a lamp and a fern and so on.
Wallace will go around a lamp and a fern to the door and just see if there's any reaction from the guy sitting in the chair.
He's creaky when he turns. He turns and watches you go, and he looks mildly impatient. You will find that it is not permeable under these circumstances, Mr. Frost.
Permeable? It's I try the door.
Yeah, the doorknob rattles, but it doesn't make the door vibrate. Like the doorknob might have been stuck into a cement block wall or something. Like it's a prop, essentially.
Okay. Wallace feels very strange at this point.
I think actually a group send check is in order.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten to a point where the cascade of weirdness is sufficient.
I pass, but I'm pissed.
Pass, you can take 0. Fail, I would say a D3.
So who's your employer?
As I say, he's an inspector. It's difficult. Explain with examples. Some of you have been lucky tonight, and some of you have been unlucky. But you've all risked. You've all put yourselves at risk, and will continue to put yourselves at risk while we inspect the outcomes and choices you make.
I made $30 out of 10. I didn't put my life on the line.
Do you want money? Is that what this is about?
Your money will be involved. Mr. Simons. And he visibly shrinks back, sort of nonchalantly going behind a tropical office sort of plant. Like, Mr. Simons, you will find in the drawer next to you a revolver. And Simon sort of scrambles at this table under this plant and pulls the drawer out, and the drawer falls on the floor, and he scrambles down to the floor and shakily picks up a small pistol.
Easy, Simons.
Wallace cowers from it.
Mr. Simons, you were very lucky earlier. You have much at stake. If you were to be required to take the revolver and kill one of the other people in this room in order to leave with your monies intact, would you be willing to take that action?
I'm gonna pull out my gun.
At this point, Wallace runs from the way we came and see if that door's also like, if it.
The old lady around the corner. If that door was a door, it's no longer. It's a wall.
It's a wall.
He kicks it and then sort of runs to the corner and sort of watches the scene with furtive eyes.
Mr. Frost, pull yourself together.
Some kind of myself together. You're holding a gun.
I'm always holding a gun. But I'm not.
When you produced your firearm, Simon's got real jerky. You know, he was like, he saw you move and he pointed, and then he saw you produce it, he pointed down, and he's like, obviously his lucky streak. He's not feeling his lucky streak right now. You've produced your firearm, O'Leary. Are you going to direct it at anyone, or?
No, well, it's sort of at Simon's. If he raises that gun, I'm going to say, don't even try it, Mr. Simons. I'm a surgeon with this knife. I want this gun.
O'Leary, you have raised the stakes.
What are we supposed to call you?
What do you call me? Larry.
Larry.
That's a name you use.
I'm going to turn the gun and point it towards him and say, we don't want to play your game. We want out.
Fire away, Larry.
No, we need you to show us how to get out of here.
I am going to show you a series of experiments. That's why you were brought here. We wanted those who take risks.
You said your name was Larry. You said that Larry was a name we use. We, as opposed to who? Are you European or something?
Yes, Mr. Frost. I'm from overseas.
Is there any way I can check this guy's lie?
His lie about being from overseas?
Yeah, to see if I can pick up any deceit or anything in what he's trying to do.
You could roll for psychology.
That's a fail. I don't think I've made one. No, I made one success.
It doesn't sound British to me.
I think he seems very facetious and not very normal.
He's French.
Those things are clear. He doesn't like smoking, though.
That's true.
Mr. Simons, you are taking a long time. And Simons is like, he sort of pulls the desk drawer and shoves it back into the little table and puts the gun in it, because basically he's not a shooter and O'Leary is, and he's.
Can I go grab
right
that
now?
Can I go grab that handgun as soon as it's safely back in that drawer?
You certainly can run over and open the drawer.
Open the drawer. Okay.
Yeah.
And the
handgun
I want to try and scramble over.
Slides toward the front of it, and you can take it out, and you can.
Okay.
Do you know anything about handguns?
Yeah, I have handguns as one of my skills.
So you can give it a quick check and see that it is in order.
Is it loaded, Simon?
It appears to be.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. Mr. Simons could not have fired if he'd wanted to, as far as you can tell. It was an empty gun. It's a prop.
Is this some kind of sick joke to you, Larry? And I want to show everyone that the firearm was not loaded.
Larry, if you're going to do something, get on with it.
How about you, Fergus O'Leary? You have a gun now. No one else does. What if you could leave here with one or two accomplices, and all you had to do was kill the others? Or you could rot here, or someone else could be armed and shoot you.
All right. I think I've heard about enough of this. I'm Detective Lafferty in the Arkham Police Department. I'm going to produce my badge. What you're talking about right here is absolutely 100% illegal.
As I said, you are no longer on Gedney Street. You have no jurisdiction here, Detective Lafferty.
Are you giving us some sort of choice that we have to kill somebody to get out of here? Because we could kill you. Would that count?
As I said, I welcome any attempt at that. I do not think you'll find it successful. But
Fergus,
I'm
I don't
sorry.
think
I've been a bad host. You're on edge. It's been a difficult morning for you so far. You don't want tea?
I've had a fucking enough of this. I'm gonna go over to where he's sitting. I'm gonna put my gun right against his head.
Fergus.
Find the door. Where's the door? I want out.
I'm going to light up a cigarette. Things couldn't get worse, right?
Well, he's got one.
I'm afraid this experiment has not gone well, but we'll continue. And he, you can see his arm move as he presses a button under his desk. And you
What's that
hear
button?
a little buzzing noise. And the door that Frost tried behind slides open. And it's very bright over there.
I thought so. Let's go, guys.
Marching orders? Again,
I'll
there's a
follow
little bit of
behind
a channel
first.
to go.
I'll go last because I'm gonna keep my gun
Okay.
trained on this guy's face as we go.
I'll take the point on that with my knife brandished.
It's
Well-
after the dimness of this room and the dimness of the stairwell in this room. It's the light. It might be outside. It's so bright.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a moment's adjustment. Who's going to follow Simon?
Wallace will be staying in. He will guarantee that he's in true last. So he'll just stay back.
Come on, Mr. Frost, go out. Got this
Yeah.
side.
Everybody's got a weapon.
I will.
Well, that's why I've got is my thing trained on his head, so you all can get out, and then I'll come out behind you.
Okay, I'll go after Fergus. Or before Fergus.
Did you all go
I'll
out?
go after Simon.
How about the Willises?
The Willises are dithering. Simon's actually going to sort of cajole them once he sees that you're standing firm. It's like, come on, you're wasting our time. We got to get out of this.
And then as they all go out, then I'll walk over to the door with my gun trained on the guy, and I'll be like, "See you later, Larry." And I'll go out the door.
Right. So you sort of file down this, this narrow hallway into this very bright room. And
Jesus Christ.
you think it's a skylight because it's really, but of course it's only like now maybe latest 2 or something. They're definitely electrical lights, but sort of blue and really, really bright. And there's a rug on the floor, except it's not patterned. It's very even and sort of blue-gray color. And the room, the walls are painted like there's no woodwork anywhere. It's garishly bright. And, as you sort of crowd in a little bit, and the room is long and narrow, and there's a fairly long rectangular metal desk, and there's a young woman behind it. She's dressed weirdly. She's got this sort of like patternless orange stretchy top on. It's a little garish and revealing. She also got
Told you they were European.
her hair is very slickly piled up on her head. She's wearing large hoop earrings, like something, I don't know, from National Geographic. And and her eyelids are also they're almost the same color blue as the big hoops. And she says, "Oh, welcome, good afternoon, welcome to reorientation. I hope you haven't had a very difficult journey so far. Please have a seat." And she points, and there's these sort of long, low, orange benches, soft benches. Nothing smells right. Everything smells sort of acidically antiseptic, and you can't tell what the light's coming from, but it's very bright.
Look, Toots, we want to know where the door is.
Yeah, please, sir, have a seat. Have a seat. We have to do reorientation. It's a normal part of the circumstance. Just be civil with each other. Make way. Everything will be explained in due. And then there's this loud, buzzing tone from speakers that you can't see, and their voice some message that makes no sense. Everything's buzzy, and as you file in, you can see actually toward the end of this long rectangular room, there's a large plate glass window, like the front of a department store, no panes at all, and outside it there's just more of these bright spaces and big metal desks and strangely dressed young women. It's really confusing.
What kind of a hospital is this?
It's more like a Senate.
It's not a hospital. It's not the casino. It's not gangsters.
What is it?
A sanitarium?
In a sense, you're right. It's a hospital. You are in a sort of you're in a facility. Yes. We're attempting to assist in the correction of the delusions you've been suffering.
There's been a mistake. We actually broke in from the building adjacent. We're not patients here. We were in a situation where we actually came through the wall of the building adjacent. So I think there's been this big mix-up.
Yeah, building adjacent would be 1923.
Yeah, that's the year.
Well, we were in
Doesn't have anything to do with the building.
It's not 1923 street, if that's what you're asking.
You were in some building in Geedy Street in 1923.
In
right?
1923?
It is 1923. What are you talking about?
It's 1964, and you've been very, very unwell. And the doctor's going to be here shortly to help with the orientation. So just have a seat, make yourself at home. We have chewing gum available. There's also there's a couple of pitchers of ice water.
I do apologize, but do you have any proof that it is 1964, as you say it is?
Oh, that's patient Hayes. Is that you? That's the one with the president's name, right?
Yes, that is my name.
Sir, I don't mean to humor you, sir. What would entail proof to you that it was the year 1964? How could I do that?
I'm a newspaper editor. Do you have a newspaper with the date on it?
Would that be a difficult thing to print, sir, in a manufactory in your time? Would that be something that would prove to you?
On demand, at a moment's notice.
And you think that we've built this entire elaborate what would you suppose? Some sort of theatrical set there to
Look.
fool you?
Look,
I
if
think
Not very
this.
rational.
if we were some sort of patients in a mental institution, why the fuck would you give me a gun?
Mm-hmm.
And I point my gun at her.
If you expect me to feel threatened by one of our occupational props, that's just an indication that orientation is very much in order.
Prop. I'm gonna fire at her with my prop.
Let's roll luck.
89.
It clicks, and it clicks oddly. It doesn't sound like a jam, and it certainly was loaded earlier. So it's odd.
Check the safety. Nothing. Just clicking.
Just clicking. And sir, if you continue to display violent tendencies, we will call an orderly. But if you'll make yourself comfortable, everything will be clear in no time at all. Is that okay?
I'm kind of deflated. I'm gonna sit down and look at my gun.
Do you have a waiting room with a newspaper I could see?
And she slides out a metal drawer and another one, and then she finds it's not the Arkham Gazetteer, it's the Boston Globe. That it doesn't look right, the logo, but it's newsprint, and she sort of shoves it across her desk at you and says, if you would just have a seat. You're giving me a headache, and it's only Tuesday.
With a panicked speed, I flip through it, and then just in awe of its detail, in parallel to Fergus being deflated, Wallace also is.
Do either of you feel deflated to the point of panic checks or sand checks?
Yeah.
Or is it
I
more
feel
sand check.
Yeah. Ooh,
97. I'm really deflated.
Fail. Yeah.
fail.
The only thing
Actually-
I've passed is my sanity checks.
Fail.
Actually, a success by 2 points.
I'm sorry, I missed you, Rutherford?
Oh, I failed.
Okay, so we have 3 fails and 2 successes. And one of those fails was fairly dramatic. So we'll take 1d4 for fails, and I think 1 for passes, given that the persistent impossibility
Mm-hmm.
Full 4.
is troubling. And in the same way that the clicky man reached under his desk, the woman with the sleek hair presses a brightly colored box, and 2 fellows come around her desk through a wall, an unmarked door, and they both look exactly like Big Clancy the bouncer, like they could twin brothers, and they're enormous men, and they have very simple overall sort of tunics on, and they approach each of you who failed and with a hypodermic needle.
Hey, whoa.
Fancy?
And the one who's approaching O'Leary just sort of shakes his head dumbly and reaches a big meaty hand for his arm.
Back, I'm gonna whack him with my gun. I'm gonna whack his hand with my gun.
The more moderate approach.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's do a brawl.
Okay. Brawl, I'm good at.
I think he'll just dodge because he's a professional.
I got 47 out of, where's mine? 47 out of 70. So just a regular.
And he failed his dodge. So
I hit his hand.
yeah, so I mean,
I'm not hitting it hard. I'm just getting it out of my face.
You were in a state of panic, and you were going to slug him with it, and then you decided to stop the thing, and then you still, you're not a tiny guy, and you swung your arm at him, and when you hit his meaty hand, like you probably felt it more than he did, but you did deflect his hand, and in fact the syringe topples out of his hand and onto the weird carpeting in here, and he opens his mouth with that like sound, and there's a small but it's really a lot deeper than that, but he doesn't say anything, and he sort of looks at you and sighs, and then he's going to put one of his giant gorilla hands around the hand with the gun in it to hold it still while he reaches down to pick up the syringe. So I guess
get that away from me.
Is anyone else responding to the approaching gorilla? I guess we only have 2 gorillas and 3 panicked gamblers.
I'm running back the way we came.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and help Fergus. It looks like he's in a pickle.
I think Frost is just flipping through the newspaper.
Okay, so one of the gorillas is gonna sort of stomp slowly toward Cleo. And Simon, how are you gonna try to help O'Leary against?
If I can see that individual and it looks like he's got a hand on him and he's reaching for that needle again, I'm going to try and go over and just kick that syringe before he can get a hand on it.
Fair enough. All right. So he's sort of, he's reaching up to the gorilla is not fast. He's just implacable. So as orderly Clancy reaches up, and he can reach down up at the same time because he's long of arm, let's say, and you sort of nimbly dance around him and kick the syringe. He rears up and says,
Wallace
Wallace
flips to the next page of the newspaper, not looking at us decide at all, and just says, Simon, Fergus, give it up. And just flips to the next page.
How's Rutherford doing?
Rutherford is very confused at this whole situation. But he sees that 2 of the goons are occupied, and so he's going to try to make a break for it as well.
Back the way you came? The goon's going toward Cleo back the way you came. So here you've got behind the desk, the door the orderly came through was just sort of an unmarked thing. You'd have to sort of go back the receptionist, past the receptionist desk to go toward the other rooms with other desks in them.
Yeah, I'm inclined to follow Cleo because I don't know what's in these other doors, and I feel like I'm just getting deeper, and I'm moving back towards what I know, or I think I know.
Are you going to try to get past the goon to help Cleo with the door, or?
I'm kind of an all for myself kind of guy. So if Cleo is benefited by my actions, then great. If she is not, oh well.
So are you going to try to shoot past Cleo to get to the door first?
That's my plan. Yeah.
Okay. What's your dex?
My dex is an excellent 75.
Cleo, are you also swift?
50. No, not particularly.
You started off ahead, but I think you're going to see Rutherford Hayes bounce past you and fruitlessly grab a doorknob that's in essentially a cement wall. And like, If you want to roll a strength, you can.
I'm in that state of mind
Yeah,
to do
that
that.
makes sense to me.
And that is a hard success.
Excellent. The doorknob comes off in your hand and you fall on your ass. You've got a beautiful replica antique brass doorknob as far as you can tell. And the door doesn't look like you could, now that you're sitting there, now that you're like looking at something that looks real and looking at the door, it doesn't look like the door was real. It looks like the door was painted there, or it just doesn't seem, it doesn't make sense. Cleo, I'm wondering about your, I don't feel a spot hidden is right. How do you think, what would you roll to notice that you are about to be injected from behind by a placable goon? I would give you, you could roll sneak, and he would be sort of like his anti-sneak.
Which isn't that spot hidden, right? Like to notice someone
if your spot hidden is better than his sneak, for sure. Than your sneak, rather. He's not even sneaking.
They're actually very similar, so.
Yeah, he's just advancing on you, and if you don't notice.
Oh, that's an O2.
Okay, so you see, you know, one meaty hand reaching toward your shoulder, and another meaty hand moving. There weren't any shadows to tip you off because it's so bright in here.
It's just that feeling of something like
you just
behind you.
Yeah, your extra peripherals turned on.
I get that. Yeah.
So I assume you're going to bolt in another direction.
Yeah, I'm going to like try to dart. You said there was like a door that kind of swung that they came through. Maybe I'll run for that if I can see it. If not, I'm probably just wildly running.
You know, it was, you know, behind the receptionist lady who was actually filing her nails right now.
I shouldn't care. That's great. I'll just go run past her. To another door.
Okay. You don't need to roll for that. You're much faster than he is. He's going to make another really deep sound of annoyance and turn slowly. Oh, actually, he's probably going to reach down toward Wallace since he's right there. And
I'd like to be syringed.
And Wallace succumbs to the warm embrace of Oblivion. Yeah, so he you know, his hand is it's like warm, slow marble, and it just sort of presses you down and gives you the stick, and things are quiet for a moment. The last thing you remember is something is that weirdly an Irish name after all the other Irish names in this gambling establishment. Somebody called Kennedy? Not clear what it was. There was something in the paper about a Kennedy. And then quietude. Detective Lafferty. What is your current? Oh, you're right. You just kicked the syringe away. So you're feeling momentarily triumphant. Are you going to try to pop the goon or make a break for it, or?
Yeah, I think I'm going to try and at least pop him to stun him so Fergus and I can maybe make a break for it.
All right. Fighting brawl.
And that is a 14. Yay. That would be a hard success.
And I'm rolling proper NPC dice. This 95. This goon takes it right on the chin. So go ahead and roll your damage.
All right. What's the damage on that unarmed
It's 1d3 plus your any damage bonus you have.
Right, that is a 2 plus my damage bonus.
And she may or may not have anything for it. It's down in
yeah,
the
it's a 0.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
So just a 2.
Yeah. So he's not enormously fazed by that, but he does. And then Cleo has dodged around the receptionist and pushed open a swinging door. And there's it's a long, narrow, dark room, unlike the bright room you were just in. It's kind of soothing, except that on the left side, you can see a series of Clancy's in orderly outfits lined up on the left wall. And on the opposite wall, just this incomprehensible series of, I don't know, tiny tubes and little flickering lights and bits of flashing something or another. It's and then there are other figures on this side, and the first one you recognize is Mr. Simons in the mustard suit. And so that's a sanity roll.
That's failure.
I would say that's a D6 at this point. You've taken 2 so far?
Taken 4.
Oh, you've taken 4. Uh-oh.
Only 2. So 6 total.
So 6 total in a fairly short period, but you're super wobbly.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue down this dark tunnel, or do you want
I feel like that would give me pause. Like I would probably just stop and stare for a minute and try to collect my thoughts. So
Fergus, you've seen the goon take one on the chin.
And he's still got a hold of my hand.
I mean, it's a light, you're sort of like, your wrist is within the rough cuff of his much larger hand, so it can sort of, you're not physically grappling, but you're not free to act with that hand.
Okay. Then with this hand, it goes into my pocket, goes into the brass knuckles, and I'm going to give him a left hook to the jaw.
Good.
If I can.
Good. You happen to know the brass knuckle benefit?
Yeah, it's 1d3 plus 1 plus my damage bonus, which is 1d4.
Very good. And he's at this point, I mean, yeah, given that he just took one, he's not going to try to fight back. He's in dodge mode.
Right. And I missed. I don't know how I missed, but I got an 89. I got 70 in brawl, and I missed it.
Again, I'm rolling an NPC. He got an 80 for dodge, so it's a good thing.
How I learned how to fight.
You brought your hand up and you forgot how heavy the brass knuckles were, and you're feeling kind of tired, and he sort of turned his head toward them, but you still missed because you're not in optimal conditions.
I should have studied Aikido.
Circumstances.
Could have used his own weight against him, but alas.
There's a loud cracking noise in the air, sort of thing, like irritating to all present. And then it breaks into, after a moment, this very fuzzy speech that says, return the facility. Protocol breaches 914, return facility immediately. And this is a bing bong, bing bong. And the receptionist puts down her nail file, and she pulls open another one of her drawers, and she takes out a sort of small rubbery thing and puts it over her face like this. Everyone roll Constitution with a penalty die.
That's failure.
Failure 80.
I passed, actually.
Okay. Simon, I think you might have been muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that's a failure for me as well.
And Frost?
Failure.
Oh, you're already out. Never mind.
Yeah, I rolled anyway.
I rolled.
Spirited of you to roll nonetheless. All right. Rutherford, you see everyone. You don't know where the Willises are. You don't where Simons is. You see the giant Clancy's also fit little snug things over their faces. And the people that you have recently met are summarily dragged unconscious by usually just like 1 foot, like they're rag dolls. They're dragged through this sort of long reception room, through a set of double glass doors, and down, well, out of sight. And then one of the giant Clancy's comes over to you and goes to pick you up by the leg. You don't feel yourself, but you are aware of what's happening. How do you care to respond?
So he's grabbing me by the leg. And
He's,
gonna...
again, they move like a patasaurus. Nothing, but and he assumes you're unconscious anyway, because their science is pretty good.
Yeah.
But he's reaching down to grab you by the leg like he has the others.
I'm gonna try to like roll out of his way and get up and run in the direction that behind, well, any open door that I can find, the nearest open door.
All right. Try dex roll. Just call it regular.
Okay. Yeah, that is a hard success.
Excellent. All right. So you roll out of his way easily. You get up to your feet and you feel wobbly. And you saw Cleo open the door behind the receptionist. And that's a lot closer than where they were dragging people, and also they were dragging people. So you go and press open that door. And again, you see a bunch of motionless, Clancy orderly people just standing motionless. And you see all this kaleidoscopic, weird machinery. And you see Mr. Simons, who's sitting motionless on like a tiny stool, just looking at nothing. And you barrel on. You're able to breathe a little better as soon as you're through that door, and you've got some inertia behind you. So you carry down a long, narrow hallway. Eventually, the Clancy's stop on one side. There are some other stationary figures you don't recognize. And there's this weird recessed lighting, and there are a couple of turns, but nothing is clearer. But you see down one of the hallways, you can see a more bright doorway, which I assume you would approach.
Yes.
So you move down this dark and unnatural feeling hallway toward a lit doorway. And when you reach it, you can see a room, a reasonable looking room with wood paneling and a couple of potted plants, and unusual but understandable wooden table down the middle with chairs on either side, and a bunch of people in suits, a staggering variety of various people in suits, look up at you, and one of them pats the chair on his left. It's at the head of the table. And he says, "Hayes, you're here at last. We were waiting for you." And that's where I think we'll call it.
What the hell?
I have so many questions. So many questions.
The House, Madhouse, maybe?
Oh my god.
Westworld?
Ooh.
I haven't actually watched the new Westworld.
Did seem a little bit like Westworld.
I definitely I know at what point I thought you were going to be in a psychological experiment about the prisoner's dilemma. That was at 5:55. I just quickly did a little research, and there's one of the outcomes of iterated prisoner's dilemma is called the Grim Trigger, which I thought was a really cool title, but specific. And then when I got you guys into the area where you were supposed to decide how to gamble, I was like, oh, I haven't seen these Saw movies, but it started to feel like a Saw movie. And I was like, this isn't interesting. I don't know how to make them actually bet against each other. And I'd also had earlier in the day the idea that maybe you were either going to, as a result of the experiment of your different gambling styles or approaches to risk, that was a risk from some future society or something. But I mostly, was improvising and following the roles. And when only Hayes escaped and the rest of you were going to be recycled or maybe wake up again in 1923, that ending just seemed fun. Because then, of course, Mr. Hayes would just stop and scream and the camera would go.
It's got a nice Twilight Zone feel to it. I like it.
Yeah.
It was really
It's
good.
a little short, but better than a little long, I think.
Yeah.
No, it's a cool idea. I think that you could tell the players beforehand, bring a deck of cards. And then you could actually play a couple of hands of poker, faking it, but whatever. That was really cool. Very, very creepy when we got into the vault.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh no, are we part of some sort of bizarre trap? So it was all delusional. It was all something they were putting us through.
I think, yeah, some civilization is working on models of risk and opportunity and so on. And things got a little out of hand.
You should watch the series, The Westworld. It's really quite good.
Yeah, I intended to. It's it's all about what services one has. The thing that Josh just recommended is on Amazon, and I flatly refuse to ever give Jeff Bezos any money, so I have to find another way to watch those things. So it's always like, I'm kind of done with. I have a series that I've been doing on Apple Plus, and I'm going to do a bunch of Netflix, and sort of like I alternate because I'm only going to watch so many hours a week, and I'm only going to pay for so many services.
Right.
It's a lot of control.
Our players included Holly Buteau, Cody McInnes, Julian Arba, Chase Capner, and myself, with David Gassaway as the Keeper of the Secrets. We have a Discord server where you can chat with our other members. You can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you would like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.